Got so much work to do. Trying to talk to you. You give me five minutes of focus. Give me 5 minutes of focus. 5 minutes of focus. Give me 5 minutes of focus. Welcome to your 5-minute focus. Today we are continuing the conversation with my husband as we talk about Psalms 23. This is a continuation from last week. And as we think about our lives and sort of where we are, having a shepherd has been very instrumental in getting to where we feel like we need to be. But I want you to just kind of listen in on the conversation. Do you think that people have minimized the role of a shepherd?
I definitely feel like they have, and I think mainly because you know from what they see on social media. They see on social media somebody's preaching and somebody taking up an offering, and that's pretty much what they see, and that's all they equate to it. But behind the scenes, before the message, is when they're actually doing the work. The message now, even though it takes a lot to prepare a message and to preach and to feed your flock,
Boy, yes.
is still the majority of the work is not preaching. The majority of the work is leading, the ones that you can to the right place, to knowing their weaknesses, knowing their strengths. So it's a lot goes into it that you really don't understand until you actually try to step into it.
We have a great shepherd.
Right.
We have a great shepherd and a true example of the power of Psalms 23, I would say. A lot of times people, we can read the word, but if you don't have that shepherd, you really don't have a way. It's kind of hard to really apply it a lot of times because you're like, well, I'm reading it, but you don't have anybody to help interpret or help to kind of bring clarity to it. What could we share to people for how to bring clarity to the word if you don't have a shepherd?
I would say for this scripture, I would say if you research the things in the scripture, research shepherd, research sheep, research the things the shepherd did for the sheep, and you will get a better understanding. You will get a appreciation for what their responsibilities are and what they have to do to do their job. A shepherd, especially with a large flock, isn't by itself. Even though he has the staff with the hook to be able to pull the sheep back in, but with a large flock, it's no way that a shepherd can keep everything in line by itself. Shepherds had, and I'm not calling people this, but they had dogs that was put in place and was bred by them to keep them going in the right direction, because it was the shepherd's job to train them to do what they needed to do. So the shepherd had to have an eye for the animals that he was training to do their job. So it's part of the shepherd's responsibility to make sure that the people he had around him was fit for the task.
There's a lot in that.
Yeah.
Like that right there. Like that's a whole other, because you think about the church now, you think about the flocks now and how, we always talk about there's a lot of work, but the laborers is that's few. It makes me think of like, okay, how many, and I'm not calling people dogs either, but like how many dogs are not in place? Like how many sheep are missing from the fold because of social media, like because they've seen all of these things and they're like, I don't even want to fool with that. And how important it is for us to kind of share, no, there is a remnant. There are still good shepherds. There are still good flocks out there. And there are people who are walking out what God has outlined, not perfect, but walking out, choosing to walk out the things that God has called us to. Well, that's all the time we have for today. There is so much in Psalms 23. And whether you have a pastor, a therapist, a family member, or a close friend, just make sure that you have somebody in your corner that can help you decode the complexities of life. Tune in next week as we continue to walk out the book of Psalms. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and thank you for tuning in today. This has been your 5-Minute Focus.